All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to get started. If everyone can take their seats, thank you. Lower your voices, please. We're going to get started. Great. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October full board meeting for Manhattan Community Board 4. I'm Jessica Chait. I'm chair of the community board and pleased to call this meeting to order. We welcome so many guests today. Thank you. I want to actually just remind everyone, if you're here to sign up to speak, you need to do so before 6:45. I'll say more of that in a minute, but the sign-up sheets are in the back. MCB4 has a hybrid meeting policy that can be found on our website. Board members are expected to attend meetings in person unless they have a disability and or an extraordinary circumstance. Viren, please join their seats. Excused committee members and members of the public will still be able to participate virtually. Board members who are joining via Zoom must leave their cameras on. This meeting is streamed live on our YouTube channel and a transcript is being recorded. The meeting will live on YouTube channel and is accessible by the public. This evening, as I mentioned, we have many guests and we welcome you. I want to also thank Hotel Trades for hosting us. I know many people, I've heard murmurings. Folks are eager to be able to get home in time to watch the debate this evening. So as we talk about our public session and limiting all of the remarks, we ask that you keep that in mind. With that, I'll say, as a reminder to everyone, our public session sign up is available before the meeting virtually on our website. For those joining us today and want to speak, you must raise your hand virtually by 6:45 or in person on the sign-up sheet placed at the table out there, as mentioned. I want to reiterate that we always want to be welcoming and available to hear from the community. We also need to be fair and consistent. And for this reason, anyone who wants to speak must sign up before 6:45. Tonight and going forward, we ask everyone, including our elected representatives and their representatives, to limit their comments to 2 minutes. As I mentioned in the last board meeting, this is the time of year where we begin our budget process. We'll have a hearing on that in a little bit. Want to just remind everyone that we respect all voices, but expect all voices to similarly be respected. And so decorum is not a suggestion, it is a requirement. And we expect everyone, board members, public members, et cetera, to treat each other with respect as we conduct our business and hear from the public this evening. So with that, we're going to go right in. We're going to jump into our public hearing. Roberta Barnett, our second vice chair, leads the budget process. You need the mic. We're going to turn it to Mr. Jesse Bodine, our district manager, whose birthday is tomorrow. Jesse.
Yes, 25, Leslie. Thank you, Leslie. I honestly believe everybody that had signed up for the public hearing for the statement of district needs and budget requests for the fiscal year 26 hearing, I think meant to sign up for the just the regular public session. So, but if I am wrong, and some folks are in the room who've come here to speak on that hearing, that topic, or online, please raise your hands now and we can come up and you can have your 2 minutes. But if you are here to speak on the public session in general, we'll do so in just a moment. So going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay, I would say this hearing is closed. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Roberta. With that, we are going to turn to our public session, and I invite our first vice chair, Leslie Boghosian Murphy, to lay out the ground rules and welcome our speakers. I'll just note we do have a time clock over here to help assist everyone in managing their 2 minutes so you can see very clearly where you are in time and space. Thank you.
I think the person first, is that okay? We'll switch it up. I'm just going to get my timer. Hello, everyone. This is the public session. We actually have a long list today. And really the only ground rules are everyone has 2 minutes and you will hear the timer. But we're going to start. We have some people online. We have some people in the room. So we're going to start with in the room. I'm going to call 3 people at a time. So when I call 3, just come on up and line up behind me. Ali Bohm, Renata, and Aaliyah. Renata, I can't, your last name. Thank you. And Aaliyah Cruz. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Your 2 minutes starts.
Awesome. Thank you very much. My name is Ali Bohm. I'm a senior policy counsel at the NYCLU, which is on the ballot initiative committee that is aiming to pass Prop 1. And I'm here as a part of New Yorkers for Equal Rights to talk with you about Prop 1, which we will have the opportunity to vote for in November. All New Yorkers deserve the freedom to control our lives, our futures, and our healthcare decisions, including our right to abortion. Believe it or not, our state constitution does not protect all of us. It does not protect pregnant New Yorkers, women, LGBT people, those with disabilities, older adults, or people from different countries. That's why we need to pass Prop 1. Prop 1 will explicitly prohibit discrimination based on a person's ethnicity, national origin, age, disability, and sex, including their sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, pregnancy and pregnancy outcomes, and reproductive health care and autonomy. I should hang a flag here that our state constitution already protects against discrimination based on race and religion, and Prop 1 would add to those protections. While New York has critical laws to prevent discrimination and to fight discrimination, without the backing of our state constitution, politicians could roll back our fundamental rights at any time. We need a constitutional amendment that guarantees our rights and freedoms are permanently protected in the state constitution, no matter who is in office. And lest we think it can't happen here, in 2022, we saw an anti-choice governor come within 5 points of the governor's mansion, and pro-choice leaders have only controlled our state legislature for 8 of the last 58 years. So in November, I'm asking everyone here to please remember to flip over your ballot and vote yes on Prop 1, the New York Equal Rights Amendment, to protect our rights and reproductive freedoms and to keep New Yorkers, not politicians, in charge of our personal decisions. And if you want to do more, you can go to nyequalrights.org to find out how you can get involved. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Next, Renata. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Renata. I am a tenant at the Hudson Hotel, and I will be reading to you the formal response from the Tenants Association to your draft recommendations for the cure. Dear Mr. Restuccia and Bodine, we acknowledge receipt of your draft letter to the Department of Housing Preservation and Development, HPD, concerning the owner's application for the cure. We sincerely appreciate the time and effort you invested in crafting this 27-page document. Your thoughtful approach to balancing the interest of the tenants, the owner, and HPD is not only admirable, but also praiseworthy. Thank you. For those reasons, the Hudson Tenants Association convened an emergency meeting yesterday, Sunday, September 29th, which was attended by most tenants to thoroughly discuss your draft recommendations. We focused our discussions on the items highlighted in pages 7 through 14, particularly the following issues. Number 6, tenant rent abatements and credits. Number 7, temporary relocation during construction period. Number 8, permanent relocation into harassment cure apartments. And number 9, existing tenants in-place unit renovation. Following extensive deliberation, we held 2 votes. Number 1, are the tenants willing to fill out any of the forms required by HPD to verify our income or comply with any of HPD's requirements? The vote outcome was no unanimously. Number 2, do the tenants wish to retain all their SRO rights and protections? Vote outcome, yes, unanimously. As you can see, these voting results reflect our frustration and disappointment with the very agency meant to protect us. Instead of addressing the significant hardships that many inconveniences we have already endured over the past 2.5 years, and the challenges we will continue to face for the next 18 to 24 months, HPD, and thus the owner, is asking us to relinquish our SRO rights in exchange for some compensation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have here Aaliyah Cruz. Is Aaliyah here? She signed up here in person. No? Oh, Alexa Cruz? My gosh, yes. Alexa Cruz. I should know that by now.
Hi, I'm a tenant from the NYCHA, and I come here all the time and I say the same thing over and over again. I want to save my safe Section 9, no demolition, no RATPAT, no Section 8. I think they are violating our civil rights to live on the way we live with a low income. I'm on a fixed income. I'm a retiree, and I deserve what I get today. But I don't want any changes, and I don't want no lies told to me, because I spoke to someone, I'm not going to mention who, and he lied to me, and he told me that there's a lot of things that I need to explain. He doesn't have to explain anything to me, because I know what's going on in New York City. And I've been living all my life in New York City, and I know how the private developers will take over the buildings and will control the buildings and do what they want after they take away the NYCHA NYCHA Section 9. I don't believe in them. I've seen a lot of people go homeless in New York City. I've seen a lot. I'm 70 years old. And I'm not, you're not gonna fool me. You're not gonna fool me. You know who you are. Thank you.
Thank you. You know what? We have a few people signed up for that topic, NYCHA and also Hudson. So why don't we bundle it? Everyone, I'm gonna just call out if it says that you signed up to talk about NYCHA. Just come up here. I have Jackie Lara, Hector Vasquez. 1, 2, and that's it. And I have Renee Kit, but I didn't say what you were signed up for. NYCHA as well. Come on up.
Two minutes.
2 minutes.
Oh,
You know
okay.
people.
Hi, Jackie Lara from Fulton Houses. I'm here. We're back again to the proposal of the demolition. We don't need this demolition, and we just want to keep public housing public. And I also want to show you some pictures, you know, before and after. I had a hole in my wall. I had a hole in my wall, and I had a gray plaster, and they painted
So things are fixable. NYCHA does have the money to fix. They did a great job. Kudos to the plasterer, painters, and I want to give credit to all my caretakers at Fulton that tries their best to keep it clean, even though there's about 9 caretakers there doing 11 buildings. So yeah, I'm here to stop this demolition. Thank you, guys. Did I do my gentleman?
Lot less. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hector, you know the drill.
Yes. Hi. I'm Hector Vasquez. I am a resident of Fulton Houses in NYCHA. I am also a member of CB4, but I am not eligible to vote on the issue. As a longtime resident and representative of the Resident Association, I've seen the horrors that have gone on for many years at the Fulton Houses and Elliott Chelsea, which I was formerly a resident of. The conditions are horrid. Yes, there are the exceptions that we have repairs done in a prompt manner, which is a rare thing. We still have people that are waiting for repairs for leaky roofs, leaky pipes, rodents, all sorts of horror things. You name it, we have it. And they've been waiting months to years on a lot of this stuff. Elevators break down all the time. It's a constant thing. And the security is like almost non-existent in those buildings. Very dangerous environment. I raised 2 kids. And I was always worried about something that bad might happen to them as they were walking around or going to school or wherever they wanted to go. It is not a great environment to raise a family, unfortunately, in some of these areas at certain times of the day. I am for the redevelopment of these buildings, which is in dire need of repair, not just patchwork, where we fix some pipes and electricals and hope for the best, which is what exactly NYCHA has been doing for quite a while now. So to accept anything less than new buildings and new living situations for the residents who have suffered so long would be a crime in itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Hector. Erica. Renee, you get 2 minutes.
Okay. So unfortunately, we're here again. I'm sure many of you are tired, as we are as well. So this is very interesting what I'm reading here. It basically said the redevelopment of these sites, or the, shall I say, infill, the fund raised by leasing these sites will provide a source of revenue to fund capital improvements on other existing buildings. Fulton has an infill, Elliott Chelsea has an infill. Where's the money? We have asked for foils to actually explain to us and show us what are the ground lease. Needless to say, NYCHA has not delivered. They have 300 lawyers, $50 million. They should be able to do that. What's going to be different this time? I believe nothing. No one can guarantee that any of that money will actually go to these developments. We will be the smallest piece of the puzzle. We're there. You'll have the Black and brown community, the diversity that everyone says they want. But let's be real. Affordable housing in this area could be at least 80,000. Market rate, who knows? Will we get any of that money? The buildings were built to be strong. We were asked to be here. The Chelsea Planning Association in 1938 specifically asked that there be public housing here. Be in context with the neighborhood. We are the longest residents of these areas. Why are we being asked to accept less? Because let's be real, the buildings will be smaller, the windows barely existent, and the appliances will not be up to quality. They'll give us the least, the minimum. We deserve better. We deserve our homes to be rehabilitated, not be destroyed, because Related needs to extend Hudson Yards. And let's be honest, they've been given everything. They're after the west side of Manhattan. There comes a time when you have to stop. So there's no demolition of our homes.
That's all I have for people who are speaking on NYCHA that are in the building here. So why don't we go to, I see a few like Renata to speak on Hudson. I'm just going to call your name. Is it okay if you guys come up and just make a line here behind me? Let's see. Tess Radonovich, is that right? Okay. Ken Leach, Owen Lamb, Sadie Radonovich. I think that's it for Hudson. I'll double check.
Okay, sorry, I
Nope.
wrote it down to make it easier for me. Oh, start, sorry.
Yeah, no, take your time. Go ahead when you get.
Okay, I guess,
Go ahead.
okay, sorry. Okay, so I'm here to speak about the upcoming letter to HPD and urging them to support tenants in the cure process. However, without sacrificing the SRO rights that we have had for a very, very long time. I've been in the Hudson for about 40 years. So good evening again. Sorry, oh, sorry, my name is Tess Radonovich. So I'm talking about the upcoming letter to HPD where we're just urging HPD not to have to ask us to sacrifice our SRO rights because we've been at the Hudson for, as myself, almost 41 years. And it's just, I don't feel like it's fair. And this is for the following reasons. So I'm here, I'm just going to kind of list like the deplorable conditions that the tenants have endured. So from rodent infestations, which I currently have covering my daughter's mattress and floor, dust, debris, large pieces of lead paint in common areas for almost 2 years, illegal full-on demolition without the proper permits on our floor and other tenant floors with my kids that are present. I have a 3 and a 1-year-old. At the time was, younger, egresses that were blocked, chemical smells, construction workers who have masks on with us, nothing to protect ourselves, debris that fell in my face during my first trimester of pregnancy, broken barriers that were constantly broken and missing, despite written notification of lead concerns, which were ignored, even though I told them that my daughter had lead poisoning in that very building, and which the health department later proved existed with dust swipe samples in December, this past December. Security cut down to 1 person. Even though we have broken doors and multiple entrances in a 24-story building floor, consistent essential service disruptions, including but not limited to elevator, electric, and very often heat and hot water at the rate and frequency that our hot water and heat has been off is like outrageous because some months it was at a rate of 41%. I have the dates written down, 41%. And one of those days in January, it was 28 degrees. So me and my kids have had to leave. Like we cannot even be there. I have not been in my house for a year and a half. I've been traveling from like 3 different places, my in-laws, my brothers, Pennsylvania with kids, and it's crazy. And I'm living out of bags. Oh, sorry, is that it? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I have this minute?
Do we mind, Chair, if we take 2 minutes? They share their 2 minutes? Are you Owen or Ken? Ken, okay. Owen, okay. Well, go ahead, then
So-
you can take his 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you guys. So I also just wanted to say that being that these essential services and heat and hot water are out all the time, I've been there like most people for over 40 years. And I can tell you with certainty that we have never had hot water and heat out this many times. So to me, that is just sheer neglect and it's deplorable. It's just negligent and it just shows a lack of care for just our well-being. And so aside from jumping around from place to place with my kids and unpacking, it's been a hardship, it's been an expense. I was denied relocation, even when I asked, because I had a scheduled induction to be relocated close to the hospital 3 days prior, 1 day prior, anything that they would give me, they told me no. So my family couldn't come. I had to be like far, like an hour and like 25 minutes away from them and travel to them. It was just horrible. I had to take my newborn to Pennsylvania because I couldn't stay there. It was just crazy. So we've been treated so poorly. I am genuinely afraid for the health due to what we have and continue to be subjected to in our building. Until today, I have had to push the elevators often to get in and out with my stroller without constant 311 calls. My petitioning in housing court for civil penalties and fines, community support from the community board here and council members, the owners would do nothing, okay, which I'm pretty sure of. And that speaks to their lack of concern for our safety, our health, and our quality of life. And I think we've suffered enough than to have to also then go further and give up our SRO rights for maybe some possible compensation for what we have endured over the last 2 years. And I just think that's unfair. And just if I have any more minutes, just because somebody else was, sorry. If I can find this. Sorry. I just want to show you guys an example, which I have submitted. This is an example of when the barriers were down. Okay, this is like no barriers, no, protecting us from the lead paint and any other debris that is in the hallway. So that is why I and other tenants have felt completely displaced from that building. I feel like the water smells, it does smell, it doesn't mix properly, and it's just pretty hard. And that's all I have to say. Thank you guys.
Well done. Owen Lamb? Yes.
That's right. Thank you. Hi, I too live at the Hudson. What Tess says is just a tidbit of what's happened here. In short, we only have 2 minutes to discuss this. This building was a fabulous hotel at one time. Not only did they compromise the rights of the employees and somehow shove out all those unions, they simply gave us no notice of this illegal demolition of the building. I literally woke up in my apartment to the demolition. They didn't take the time to tell us to get off the floors in many cases. So they've completely ignored all of that. And now there's this compromise that seems to be worked out. I know nothing of the details. And really, they're probably getting away with taking who knows how many legitimate rent stabilized apartments off out of the count. Like, this is criminal, what I think is happening here. They demolished a building without permission, and then they're doing what they want with us. That's what Tess is telling you. And this process that we're going through means nothing. How much are they saving by just not following the law? And we're going to rubber stamp it by saying, oh, we support what you're trying to do. What they're trying to do is they're pulling the wool over our eyes. And in the meantime, they're pissing down our backs and telling us it's raining. Like, something's got to be done. We had one attorney in the courthouse suggest that this matter should be referred to the Attorney General, or this is a more serious matter than you're really grasping. Because from what I can understand from the initial speaker, that you're sort of supporting what they're doing. And I think you should push it down the road some more and take a closer look at what they're doing. Thank you.
Sadie? Go ahead, your 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Sadie. I'm Tess's daughter. I'm 16 years old and I go to high school in the city. And everything my mom mentioned, being displaced with a home, I've had to travel to different homes when the water's gone out or the heat's gone out. Like hot water we haven't had hot water, or the heat has gone out, or any of these things have happening. And I'm a senior in high school. Almost my entire high school experience, I've had to deal with the issues with this building. I remember in my sophomore year, one time I got home from school. I was on the track team. So I got home late and the entire first floor near the lobbies was flooded with water and I couldn't get upstairs to my house. There were times where in the hallway when they first began the demolition, where there was like an open wire sort of thing. And then there was a leak right next to it, right near the elevators. And we couldn't really cross over that. We had to take the service elevators to get downstairs. There's just been so many events that has happened during my experience in high school that has caused me to just be moved around and caused me a lot of stress. And it's just been very difficult. I have a lot of health issues, and being in this building and the dust, and my mom mentioned I'm her daughter who had lead poisoning when I was younger. And all of these things make it just even more so difficult when my doctor's appointments are in the city to have to travel and from Pennsylvania 2 hours to get back to the city and have doctor's appointments and all these things that just shouldn't be happening because these things shouldn't be an issue. That's all I really have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadie. I think those are who we have for Hudson. So now I'm just going to go down the list, if that's okay. Well, I still have some people here in the room. That's okay. Let's see. Joseph Calvo. And I have Catherine Blackburn. Do you want to come up?
Okay. We live on 25th Street between 10th and 11th, and we are near prisoners in our houses. I'm a landlord. Joe is a tenant because of drug dealers that hang out right in front of our house. We've called 911. We've went to the police station on 20th Street. We've called our council person, 311, we've called our council person, we've called the mayor's office. We don't know what to do. What should we do? We pay taxes. All we want you to do is deal with the drug dealers who are hanging out right in front of our house. And as a separate point, they're dealing drugs to a lot of the kids that go to Avenues, which is half a block away. I cannot believe that New York City is not dealing with these guys that are just hanging out every day, right in front of our house, dealing drugs. We don't know what to do. They make a mess. We get tickets for them making a mess. They harass my tenants. They harass Joseph. They deal drugs to the kids. And we don't know what to do other than now we're coming here. Please advise us. Who should we call? What should we do? Anything you want to add?
And make this street dirty. The street is dirty. They stay selling drugs and bring all these people who is really homeless in the city to buy crack and buy drugs. And they stay there all day. And they all double park in the street. The police car pass. I call, complain about. They don't give a ticket. They all have fake plates, all paper plates, expired already. They're all from Pennsylvania. We make a lot of Pennsylvania here today. They're all from Pennsylvania. They're cars from Wyoming, car from Florida. They're all different cars. They're all different plates. And nobody do anything. I call everybody. I call every day. I have the detective numbers. I call everyone. Nobody do anything about it. Nobody.
I've lost 3 tenants on this. Who should we call? What should we do?
Hi, I'm Jesse Bodine. I believe we're in contact with each other.
I've tried.
Well, no,
Yeah,
we've corresponded.
Yep.
Right.
I
So
sent you pictures of it.
I'm happy to talk to you offline about it. I will say just for the group, for the larger group, the 10th precinct is very aware. All right. So there's procedures that go on. I can provide, but I'm letting you know,
Yep.
as I've explained to you gentlemen, or to you maybe directly, that the 10th precinct is very aware and they're doing what they normally do. They did remove one of the vehicles a while ago. We had this conversation. Right. I understand that there are operations that are doing those taking care of those things. I am not in any way trying to say it's completed or that's what's happening now is should be allowed, but I'm happy to continue to talk to you guys and help you to speak with the precinct to try to advocate more for this. I give the plates of the cars for them. I tell everything for them. I send pictures. I do everything, and I ask them. But the cars are double parked for 5, 6 cars between 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, double parked on the street. Nobody give a tick. Nobody give a tick. They are there all lined up there doing drugs, chair, dog, food. So like I said, I hear you completely, and I'm happy to continue to talk with you and see if we can move it along to this commanding officer.
Great.
Yeah,
We'll wait
definitely.
for you.
No, we'll respond to your email.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. My name is Catherine Blackburn. And first of all, I'm very astonished to see so many empty chairs with all the issues that we're addressing. And I am concerned because I've lived in this neighborhood on West 44th Street for 42 years. I've lived through AIDS and crack and prostitution, and I've never seen it as bad as it is right now. And I don't know where we're going to take this, but my concern is that why are we not addressing the issues that are now chasing our restaurants out of business, of which I was attended this evening, where the hotels are now below capacity, below occupancy, which affects our restaurants, which affects our neighborhood, which affects our economy, which affects our quality of life. Okay, I raised 2 kids in this neighborhood. They go to school in this neighborhood. My granddaughter goes to high school in this neighborhood. And yet what I see is nothing. Nothing with our community board, and the Block Association has done as much as they can, but we need more. We need more. We need more. And I want to raise this issue because what we do as the Block Association is so important, but we need more of what the community board can do for us. And frankly, I'm not seeing it. So after 42, and I'm gonna leave out the expletives, but nothing has happened. So I want you to address this. And believe me, I will be much more active in what's going on in this neighborhood. And I apologize if I'm a little emotional, but what I'm seeing is not acceptable at all. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last person live here, and I shouldn't say live, in person is Katie. You know your 2 minutes.
Thank you. So I'm a community board member, but I'm actually here speaking just as myself. And I'm actually here on a completely new topic. I am here to honor an extraordinary politician and to wish President Jimmy Carter a happy 100th birthday. Even though he lost his bid for re-election, he devoted himself to being a powerful advocate for the underserved around the world. He helped turn Habitat for Humanity into a worldwide force for housing. He established the Carter Center to promote and expand human rights, which earned him the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. And he helped eradicate guinea worms, which sickened more than 3 million people a year. Now it sickens less than 100 people a year. I am grateful that we have such an extraordinary example of a selfless, ethical politician. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. We're going to move to virtual, right, Jesse? I think we have 5 people, and we're going to start with Carla. She's not there. She is. Carla, if you can hear me, I think Jesse's trying to move you over. And then after that, I'll just go down the names. Ann Casper, Cade Callan. If you could hear me online.
Hello, is it my time?
I hear someone.
Yes, it's Cade Callan.
Okay, Cade, hold on 1 second.
Okay,
Because we
I'll
don't
wait.
see you.
Oh, do you want to have a video on?
You do not have, did you ask if you have your video on? There you go.
Hi. how
Okay,
are
since
you?
we have you, we'll give you 2 minutes while we work on the others. Your 2 minutes starts now.
So I'm a journalist with Downtown Magazine, and I just wanted to ask about, I saw that there has been a bid for a casino on a lot on 41st Street on 11th Avenue. Your community board represents this area. And so I wanted to ask the board's opinion about what this development could mean, any opinion that the board wants to get across, because I'm writing a piece about it and I really care about the community input. There hasn't been much community input about it yet. So I just wanted to get a whole read on the community.
So Kate, thank you for bringing that up in the public session. And I'm going to give you Jesse Bodine, who has been very active so far today in our public session. If you can contact him, he can give you his email and he kind of directs the press or any press requests and he funnels it to the right people. Does that sound good for you? And you can have one-on-one personal attention?
Sure, that'd be wonderful.
Okay. Do you have Jesse's email?
I do not. May I write?
Okay. If you go to the Manhattan Community Board 4 website, Jesse Bodine.
Okay.
His email will be right there, his contact.
Awesome. Thank
And
you.
he gets back to everyone within like an hour. No, I'm just kidding.
Amazing. Okay. I'm on deadline. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh yeah, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. We see you. Go ahead. Your 2 minutes starts now. Oh, Lisa, I think you're muted. So we'll start you over.
Boy. Okay.
There you go.
Hello, I'm Lisa Wager, Director of Government Community Relations at the Fashion Institute of Technology, the SUNY College on West 27th Street with a residence hall on 34th, 1st off 9th in the district. And I'm here to share a few updates. African Fashion Diaspora opened at the museum at FIT in September, and it's getting terrific reviews. You may have seen the large piece in last Thursday's Times Styles section. The show aims to draw out a mosaic of stories from the African diaspora, a term for the patchwork of global communities of people descended from Africans that's explored through the lens of negritude, Pan-Africanism, the Black Atlantic, Black consciousness, and Afrofuturism. The 60 looks included were created by designers from Africa, Europe, the United States, the Caribbean, and South America, One look is by Madame Willie Posey, a fashion designer who worked in Harlem and who taught her daughter how to sew. That daughter is Faith Ringgold. We'll be conducting a special 1-hour curator-led tour for our neighbors on Monday, November 18th at 5:30 when the museum is closed to the public. Board members will get an invitation through Jesse, and audience members can ask to join by writing me at lisa_wager@fitnyc.edu. I want to remind everyone, especially the elected reps, that FIT received a portion of SUNY's transformation funding money to support programming aimed at enhancing economic mobility for non-traditional underemployed adult learners. At FIT, we're doing that work with the creative sectors through our Adult Learner Creative Workforce at the Future programs. This fall and again in the spring, FIT is offering 30 full tuition scholarships for 6 certificate courses that typically cost between $1,400 and $2,700. The Creative Workforce of the Future courses enable New Yorkers to upgrade their skill sets, expand their portfolios, and stay employed in the creative sectors, a critical piece of the New York economy. You can find more information at fitnyc.edu/workforce. And good holidays to all who celebrate.
Great. Lisa, right on time as usual. Thank you. I believe our last person is Michael Harachi. Michael, can you hear me online?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you. If you could put
That's
your
okay.
camera on, that would be. Okay, your 2 minutes starts now.
Yes, I'd like to express my supreme disappointment in the electeds of our region and including the community board. I understand that there are new members, so I look forward to new work from you all. I expect more from human beings. I expect more calls against the Israeli genocide against the Palestinian folks. When we talk about what's going on in our community board, we can't forget about America's largest newspaper laundering the genocide, which is the New York Times, right across the street in our sister community board number 5. I'm sure tomorrow we'll hear from Brad Lander and Hoyleman Siegel about Israel's right to protect themselves. We can't forget that these other nations also have the right to protect themselves. I wonder if this community board would consider a Nazi tracker to keep track of the dual nationals who are holding both Israeli and American passports, who will be returning to our community board after murdering countless babies, torturing, raping men, women, and children with hot metal pipes to death, beheading children. Every accusation is a confession. The US government has torn off the mask of liberalism, and it's about time that we stand up to the military-industrial complex and the police force as well. It's really interesting to hear our folks in the community talk about public safety when the police represent the largest transfer of wealth in our community. No life is worth $2.90. Defund is the floor, free Palestine. We are now in an era of pre-Geneva and Vienna conventions. I wish everybody well. Have a great night.
Thank you, Michael. And we don't have anyone else, right, Jesse? There were a few that are on here, but I don't think. Okay, great. So here ends the public session. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Leslie. Tonight's agenda reflects the business of 4 of our committees, BLP, HHHS, Transportation and Cannabis. You all have a copy of the agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt? Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. And I want to thank again Katie Stokes and Alex Swan for the minutes. I think we have one amendment to the minutes this evening. If you can use the mic.
Hi, can you hear me? So basically what happened is one of my items, one of my BLP, which was item number 27, I put present eligible, but when it went to full board and it was a long meeting, I put yes to all. So I need to correct that on the public record back to present not eligible.
And it's item
27, correct?
Item 27. So we We'll receive that amendment, and with that, can I get a motion to adopt the minutes? Thank you. Thank you. All in favor? Great. Everyone's hands up. Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ted, for being diligent on that. Next up, we'll hear from our elected officials. Again, we do ask that to the extent possible, you limit your comments to 2 minutes. And with that, do we have Yiyi? Do we have Yiyi? Yiyi, okay. So we will start with Congressman Nadler's representative. Are you joining us today? Great. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Felicia Park Rogers, District Director for Congressman Jerry Nadler, New York District 12. Earlier this month, Congressman Nadler introduced a bicameral bill called the Polluters Pay Climate Fund Act. The bill would authorize the Treasury Department to collectively charge top polluting fossil fuel companies a total of $1 trillion over 10 years to establish the Polluters Pay Climate Fund. Nearly half of the funds that this legislation can raise will be used for investments that benefit environmental justice communities who have borne the brunt of pollution and the effects of the climate change crisis. Yesterday, together with Representative Correa, Congressman Nadler reintroduced the Student Borrower Bankruptcy Relief Act, which essentially would allow people who file for bankruptcy to have their private and federal student loans written off, which currently they're not eligible for. Additionally, he recently introduced the continued costs of the September 11th Terrorist Attacks Act. This would reimburse, allow FEMA to reimburse the state and city pension systems for the loss in pension payments due to unanticipated deaths, and is critical that we address this funding shortfall to safeguard FDNY and NYPD pensions and ensure that the families of those heroes continue to receive the benefits that they deserve. Our office recently sent out constituent services email with important updates about Medicare, federal student loan payments, and veterans benefits. You can sign up for it on our website if you don't already receive our emails. And you can also go there to do constituent and casework questions. Lastly, the federal government's new online passport renewal portal is finally live. Yes, you can renew your passport online at last, 2024. The federal government is once again offering to send 4 free COVID tests per household. You can sign up at www.covidtest.gov to receive yours. Thank you all for your work for the community.
Thank you, Felicia. Recognizing we have some folks here in person, we'll go to Assemblymember Simone's representative, Ben Lowenstein. Come on up, Ben. And I believe we're waiting for the council member to join us in person. So if he's not yet here, we'll then go to Robin Forrest online. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Ben Lowenstein from Assemblymember Tony Simone's office. Hope you all had a nice summer. We are hosting a winter clothing drive, and I encourage everyone who has clothing to spare to please consider donating. Clothing can be dropped off at 410 West 40th Street between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Monday through Thursday, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Fridays, and from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Sundays. This Monday, October 7th, our office will be hosting a flu and COVID vaccine drive. This will take place at our office at 214 West 29th Street, Suite 1401, from noon to 3 p.m. We encourage everyone to protect yourselves from diseases this winter and come get vaccinated if you have not already. If you have documents that you'd like shredded, come visit the shred truck our office is hosting on October 15th from 9 a.m. to noon on the south side of 43rd Street between 9th and 10th Avenue. Assemblymember Simone will be reintroducing a bill of his, A5661, which reforms the process on how city charter propositions get on the ballot. Under current law, if a mayor forms a city charter commission, that commission's proposals automatically bump any other local referendum proposals off the ballot, including any proposed by the city council. This allows a mayor to propose even minor changes to the city charter as a method of blocking significant city council proposals. The most recent charter commission was criticized for a rushed process and lack of transparency. This legislation will remove the bumping power of the mayoral charter commissions and will allow all charter propositions to go to the voters to decide. Last year, the state legislature passed the Equal Rights Amendment to the state constitution. This amendment would grant constitutional protections to New Yorkers against discrimination based on ethnicity, national origin, age, disability, or sex, including sexual orientation, gender identity or expression. It would also protect from discrimination based on pregnancy or reproductive care decisions. Current provisions only protect against discrimination based on race, color, religion, or creed. This amendment will go before voters in the November election. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go to Robin online. Maria, are you? Oh, we can do that. And yeah, we'll do it. If that's okay. Let's get through elections and then we'll come to. Are there any other representatives? We're waiting on the council member, I understand, and Robin's coming over. And if there's anyone online who's representing an elected official, please raise your hand and Jesse will bring you over.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. I will be brief because we all want to watch the debate. Just a couple of quick updates. There will be an issue. Bonds that are being. Oh.
You were on mute, Robin, for about 30 seconds.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
We can hear
Yes.
you. We can hear
okay.
you.
Great. I started to talk about a program to issue a third issuance of bonds that will be devoted pretty much to affordable housing through a general obligation social bond program. The bonds will be issued in this month, actually, and will help with the development of 4,300 units of affordable housing. This is the third of 3 such allocations. The prior 2 totaled 1.1 billion and helped finance 7,800 units of affordable housing. We all know that that's something we need. Following up, somebody who spoke in the public session, the mayor has launched a ghost car task force, and it's a program that combines work by NYPD and sanitation, and they call them Ghostbusters. They call themselves Ghostbusters, I think. And basically, the program launched in September, and in the first 5 days, they were able to remove 300 ghost cars from the streets. That obviously gets rid of illegal cars. It also creates space for people to park. And it's an ongoing program. If there is an issue with ghost cars, somebody had mentioned that, I would suggest Jesse have them reach out to the local precinct or reach out to me, and I can try to see if I can circle back with that. And finally, I just want to mention, I don't know if anybody or everybody heard about the final phase of the large infrastructure program to protect the city's water supply. This is a project that's been going on for over 20 years, and it will mark the final step in working on the Delaware aqueduct repair. Currently, with the repair undone, there is a leak daily of, I just want to check the number, 35 million gallons of drinking water that is leaking into the ground in upstate New York. So that's a big hole to fix. And during that time, water will come from. Oh, thank you. Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. It's a helpful
Okay.
update. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
There's one question from the audience.
Okay.
If you could just hang tight.
Sure.
Just 1 second while she grabs the mic, Christine Berthet.
Hello? Oh, yes. Thank you. With the new sanitation program and installation of containers on the sidewalk, we have noticed a lot of sandwich boards and other items being put in front of them. You know, the one that are along the building.
Like for advertising or?
No, well, a sandwich board is, yeah, it's kind of an advertising, yes. And when we report that to sanitation, they go to the place and say there is no problem. So we're going to need a lot of your help to make this program work so that we don't have 6 feet of obstruction on the sidewalks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll circle back with Jesse on that.
Great.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Christine. All right, we are delighted to have our council member join us, Councilmember Botcher. I'll just remind you, everyone's eager to get home to watch the debate tonight. So just keep that in mind as you.
I'm only going to talk for 15 or 20 minutes. Some quick updates. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to give you a couple updates. Some of you may have seen that over the summer, I wrote a letter to Mayor Adams asking for more assistance in addressing what I call the humanitarian crisis unfolding on the streets of neighborhoods around New York City, but also in a very pronounced way in City Council District 3, down in the Village around Washington Square Park, the West 4th Street subway station, down in Chelsea, emanating from the corner of 21st and 8th, whole corridor between 34th and 42nd, the blocks in Hell's Kitchen, the residential blocks. People are going down the blocks to do sell and do narcotics, people with untreated serious mental illness. In the letter, I put out some specific asks, and one of those asks was that the Be Heard program come to Council District 3. That's a program where mental health professionals respond to 911 calls about mental health crises. Now, in our district, the precinct cops are almost every time responding to these calls. They're not equipped to handle these, and as a result, we're not seeing progress. The Be Heard program is in 31 out of 77 precincts, 0 in Council District 3. Mayor responded to my letter, no updates other than, here is all the great things we're already doing. They are working hard, but in the hearing that we had on this issue, I really tried to pin them down on what is the criteria for the next precincts that are going to be getting this program. Program expansion's on pause because of the budget. We need to unpause that expansion, but I want our precincts to be among the next precincts that get this program. They, in one meeting I had with them, said that the criteria was the number of 911 calls for mental health crises per district. They will not produce the list. They say they're going to, but they still haven't produced the list of where our precincts fall citywide. And I asked them in the hearing, I said, would the fact that 50 million people a year come through a certain neighborhood, would that be a factor in what neighborhood's next on the list? Can't speak to that. So I would love to discuss with you further how Community Board 4 could help us highlight this request. We're very likely going to be seeing a change of leadership at the city level in the not too distant future. But I want to make this top of the list when we're having those conversations. Big victory in Chelsea this week with the Chelsea, the General Theological Seminary. A few months ago, earlier this year, actually, we found out that the General Theological Seminary was imminently signing a 100-year lease with a conservative Catholic choral school. Many of the funders are people who are mixed up with you know who, and didn't align with the values of Chelsea. But we were told it's the only way it could be done. The day we found out about it, my colleagues and I got a letter out. A few days later, we had a meeting. It was an effort similar to what we did with Hartley House years ago when we were able to pull back that sale. Well, last week on Thursday, we at GTS were there for an announcement of a partnership with Vanderbilt University, where Vanderbilt University is going to ensure that General Theological Seminary can survive for generations to come. It's going to breathe new life and vitality into that campus and hopefully open it up again to the community. I'm very excited about that. Bike lanes, 10th Avenue, down to 14th, with protected pedestrian refuge islands with tree beds in them. They were going to do the last stretch of 10th Avenue with no trees because they said it's a lot of work to maintain the trees. And I actually had to bring in the city's public realm officer. I said, this is the public realm. Let's do this together. And to her credit, we did. And the lower 10th Avenue already has some beautiful flower beds. Look, sometimes people say, why are you talking about trees? Why are you talking about flowers? Yes, there's what they do to clean the air and absorb rainwater runoff. But it's all, at the end of the day, we've got to uplift our neighborhoods and pay attention to how they look, how they feel. That sends a message about a neighborhood. Conversely, when you let graffiti take hold, we allocated over $50,000 in the last budget for a graffiti cleanup. We're doing not only ACE, but we're bringing in the Doe Fund and we're funding the Department of Transportation. I want every light pole up and down the avenues and on the side streets cleaned of graffiti. Yes, they'll get new graffiti, but there's a big difference between a light pole with a few pieces of graffiti and light poles that haven't been cleaned since 1997. How much more time do I have? None. Yes. Questions? Yes.
Does anyone have any questions for the council member in person or online? Well, you gave a very thorough update.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. We have one final speaker representing our elected officials. Evelyn Collado, I believe, is online.
Yes,
representing the controller. Yeah.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to address you tonight. I have shared the newsletter, the office newsletter earlier this month, but there are a couple of updates that I'd like to share tonight. The first one is we have, actually both of the updates are new dashboards that we have on our website. The one of them is the Measuring New York City Government's Performance Dashboard, and the other one is the Employer Violations Dashboard. So the latest one, the measures New York City government performance, will be measuring how well city agencies are delivering services to New Yorkers. You will be able to see whether an agency performance have improved, declined, or stay steady within, the last month, 3 months, year, pre-COVID baseline, and this is all very interactive. Some of the agencies that we'll be tracking include the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, Homeless Services, Sanitation, Transportation, MTA, NYCHA, Parks, and NYPD. So you're all welcome to try it out, and this is another addition to other dashboards online, including the Department of Correction, the New York City Agency Staffing Dashboard, the Homelessness Dashboard, and the New York City Climate Dashboard. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move now to the district manager's report. Jesse Bodine.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jesse Bodine, District Manager for Community Board 4. Very quick report. Our hybrid policy remains in effect. The nominating committee is still accepting expressions of interest for the executive officer positions. Please contact me with which position you'd like to be considered for and your resume. And the district needs survey is up and running until October 23rd. You can see there's a QR code all over this room. It's also going to be on all the link kiosks starting today. You'll see that, and it went out to block associations as well. So please spread the word. And okay, so for October committee schedule, we have some changes that I just want to make sure everybody's aware of. So Housing, Health, and Human Services Committee will be meeting on Thursday, October 17th at 6:30. Arts, Culture, Education, and Schools will be meeting on Tuesday, October 15th at 6:30. Budget Task Force will be meeting on Wednesday, October 23rd at 6 p.m. Nominating Committee will be meeting on Thursday, October 24th at 6 p.m. Cannabis Task Force, I believe, is tentatively set for Tuesday, October 29th at 6:30 p.m. All other committees will be meeting at their regular dates and times. And please look out for an email about January's full board. We have a scheduling conflict with New Year's, and so we need to find a new date. So I will be sending out a survey. Please respond so then we can make sure we have quorum for January. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jesse. Before we start with the chair update, I'm going to have Maria Ortiz join and provide a bit of an update on a project that she is leading together with the board.
Thank you. I am Maria Ortiz. Who am I? Co-chair of Housing, Health, and Human Services. Every year I lead with other CB4 members and other sponsors in the community and Metro Baptist Church, a coat drive. We started doing it in October of 2020. So this is our 4th year. And basically we're doing it it's Saturday, October 26th. And from 1 to 3, people from the community bring in their donations of gently used or new coats. And then between 3 and 5 p.m., people who live in the district in a shelter are able to come and pick up coats. So and the CB4 members, you'll be getting an email to sign up if you want to volunteer for that. There's usually a couple of members. I've seen Josephine there. Paul comes every year. Roberta's been there. Can't remember who else I'm forgetting right now, but Katie, you've been there, right? Well, she's donated before. So you're welcome to donate and buy coats. You're welcome to volunteer, but this is a community effort. And I think it's really important. If you've been poor and without a coat, you know what it's like. So thank you.
Thank you, Maria, for spearheading this effort, and just want to both, again, acknowledge and thank Maria, but also indicate, especially for our new members, like there are so many ways you can get involved to help shape and better our neighborhoods, our communities, and this is just one great way. So if you have other ideas for things you'd like to do, please bring those to me and Jesse, but this is really a case of Maria just making it happen. So thank you. I want to introduce Thomas Garza. Thomas was recently appointed to the board. Many of you know we gained a new seat on the board when Jeffrey stepped off the board. And so we're delighted to have Thomas join us. Just maybe wave your hand one more time. And we have other new members, so you'll be sure to connect, but we're delighted to have you, and everyone should be friendly, you know, to Thomas. As if you need the reminder. Speaking of being friendly, I want to share and welcome Gregory Morris in his new capacity. So Gregory is going to be has accepted the role of CLUE Chelsea Land Use Co-Chair. He'll be working together with Carrie Keenan. Really excited about his leadership and what he can bring to the committee. And so I hope everyone joins me in welcoming Greg, and certainly, kudos to him. Thank you. In terms of additional updates, I want to share that MCB4 provided testimony before City Planning Commission on September 11th. This is related to the Port Authority bus terminal. For those who've been around a while, you've heard us talk a lot about this project. I want to thank those, I think it was JD, Christine, and Joe, who all were in person providing testimony. We also provided written testimony. And just as an update, we really found the port DCP rather, really calling their attention to the issue of mitigation, which is something we continue to work on and follow up on. So know that that continues to happen. MCB4 provided testimony to the New York City Council regarding a number of proposed idling laws. I think we actually have a letter related to one of those this evening. Additionally, you heard about the nominating committee. I just want to again remind folks that this is the time to submit your resume for those leadership opportunities. And if you have any questions, you're thinking about it, you're not sure, or what would it mean, just reach out. Like, we're happy to have an informal conversation. Myself, I'm sure Jesse as well, or any of the former chairs or board members would be happy to engage in that. So please, excuse me, do not hesitate. We also mentioned about the statement of district needs. I just want to again remind everyone that this is a really important body of work for us, and the work happens at committee. And so sometimes it can be very easy. We have more what feels like more pressing, urgent matters. But the statement of district needs and the budget requests really do shape so much of what our electeds in the city then, when they look at this document, they understand what the needs of our district are. And so really just want to implore everyone in committee to take that time. If you're a committee member and not a chair and you're not sure how you can help or how you can be involved, I'm sure that your chair has ideas. So feel free to raise your hand, have that conversation to see how you can be helpful. And then a final note, that just dawned on me as Jesse was sharing some of the committee dates, that I do believe the board office is closed 2 days this month, correct? For Rosh Hashanah, the board office is closed on, are you not closed? Just on the 14th? Yeah, sorry. Oh, but so just for Indigenous Peoples Day. So that is one day you can expect that the office is closed. With that, we'll now turn to the business portion of our meeting. Yeah. Oh, sure. So I understand that there are some folks online who have their hands up. We are now in the business portion of the meeting. And so we invite everyone to come to a future meeting or a committee meeting. We have a public session, at which point we would be delighted to hear from you. And we would welcome you at the committee meeting or our next board meeting. And you can sign up online if you're interested in doing that now. But we will not take, we're no longer in the section of the meeting where we hear from the public. So with that, we're in our business portion. As mentioned, we only have a brief business portion today, beginning Frank is already up here on deck. So we'll start with BLP and we'll take questions for all of the committees. We'll do in-person questions followed by questions from folks online.
Hi, everybody. I think from the committee's perspective, there's nothing we feel the need to single out, but as usual, I will take questions from any of the agenda items on BLP 1 to 13. Is Joe here? Joe Restuccia? Yeah, so I think, okay. I spoke to Joe immediately before the meeting on item 13. His organization is the landlord for this property and feels there's not been enough discussion. So he asked that we postpone that item. I think what we need though is an alternate motion where we will ask the applicant to postpone, and if they don't, we'll recommend denial. Just gives us a little leverage on that. So if someone wants to make that motion. No? Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. So okay.
So in light of that, can you just repeat the motion?
Sure. In item 13, the motion will be to request that the applicant postpone this application for a month. And if they are unwilling to, that the recommendation will be to deny the liquor license.
Okay, so I think we can do a hand vote for this. And we're going to do in the room and then online, just to not divide our attention. So if everyone in the room, if you're in favor of the motion, sorry, there's a question on the motion. Okay, there's a question on the motion. I think there's a process question or no, on the motion. Okay, so if you can get that mic, Rachel, behind you.
Sorry, Frank. It's just that, we went through the committee process of voting on this. And so it's just hard to vote all of a sudden to ask someone to delay a month without like a little bit more info. I recognize Joe's not in the room and you're not his delegate or agent.
This has come up in the past where we've heard after the vote that, landlords have approached us and say, hey, we don't have a lease yet with this applicant. We haven't approved the terms. We don't think it's appropriate to go forward. Unfortunately, not everyone is fully, up to speed about what we're doing. So it's not unique to this applicant. We've done it, I think, 3 times in the past couple of months.
Okay. And it's a landlord's, in this case, is it a landlord saying this isn't even meaning that it really wouldn't.
The landlord is saying they just
affect
signed
the
the lease.
applicant.
There's been no discussion about the.
Here comes the landlord.
Joe,
can we? Yeah.
Yeah. So they're asking why, Jesse's asking why we need to postpone since the committee's already.
You need a mic and.
So sorry.
I just want to make sure we're not we need to keep this focused on the motion and not
This is the
relitigate.
motion.
I know, I understand. I just, the back and forth, if this were not the person may not always be here. In this case, they are, but we either need to vote in favor.
So Joe,
or
I've suggested a motion that we request the applicant to postpone, and if they refuse, to recommend denial. And that's motion's been.
Got it. So
seconded.
This is analogous to the 501 West 52nd Street liquor license a couple of months ago. The operator tenant did not come to the owner, Clinton Housing, to ask for permission to present plans as required by lease. Same exact thing happened here. I found out about this because I read it in the agenda. So we've reached out to the tenant today, who is in no rush. He hasn't even submitted plans for the build out of the restaurant to us for review and approval. So that's why the idea of sending it back, speaking to the tenant, I'm very sure we'll work with them. They're a reputable owner, no problem. I think they just got ahead of themselves here to get a liquor license. There are no plans yet approved by the owner for the space.
Okay, I think that answers that question, Christine, and then Rachel.
Yeah, when we voted, did we vote to approve before we knew this background? Did we vote to approve?
Yes.
Okay, so I would have a problem to say that if we should table, and then if he doesn't, then we deny.
Okay, and I would just note you can vote against the motion.
Yeah, I'm just explaining why.
Yeah, okay. Rachel, do you have a question?
If we approve a motion to deny, does that mean the applicant can come back and reapply with adequate conversations with the landlord?
Yes, the applicant can withdraw their application from us at any time. So, but it sounds like from Joe that they're gonna be willing to put it off a month. So.
Okay. Another
question, just on the background of the motion. Is this a contentious thing? I mean, no, okay, so if the applicant says yes and you say it as.
Well, the issue is we've not, at least no one from the office of the committee has had the opportunity to talk to the applicant. That's the only reason I'm doing it in this convoluted way, because we can't force an applicant to postpone.
Okay, there's one further question from Katie, and then I think we take a vote here. Katie.
And maybe you just said it, Frank, and I missed it, but I don't understand why we're not just sending it back to committee for a month. So what is it?
Because the applicant can now go forward with the SLA if they want to. All they have to do is give us notice. So if they don't agree to postpone, we're sort of out of the loop and they can just proceed with the SLA. So if we want to have some backup position known, it has to be a recommendation of approval or denial. I don't think it's going to come to that. But again, we cannot require them to postpone or to wait.
All right. So then just to be clear for the minutes, the motion is to ask the applicant to postpone its application for a month. And if they don't postpone, then to deny.
To recommend denial, yes.
To recommend denial. Okay, thank you.
Okay, one final, is it a question, Joe? I mean, a clarification? Rachel, you have the mic.
The owners, and we totally believe this is going to be approved. We support it, not the issue. They just didn't go through the normal process of plans and going through us. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, with that, Ted.
I think the question is if their whole application that we approve changes based on the building, it was gonna need some BLP input, and if we're just skipping over the BLP process to go back, when would we be able to re-examine those plans?
No, we're not asking that. We're asking them to postpone for a month, and then we will decide, depending on where it stands, whether they need more time, whether they can skip BLP or have to come back to BLP. It's just postponing from tonight's agenda.
Brad, you have a question? You do need a mic because people online can't hear you.
Just for clarification, when they apply, to Joy's point, they have to say that they have approval from the landlord?
No, but Joe's point is
maybe that should be on there, right? I mean, in future.
Well, no, because we if the landlord doesn't object, we can go forward. It's clear that people can apply to us without having a lease. And it's only in situations where the landlord raises an objection that becomes relevant. Ordinarily, these things go forward. The only requirement is by the time the SLA gives them a license, they have to have a lease, but they don't need it to apply to the community board.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Okay, we are now going to take a vote. So if you are in favor of the motion, please raise your hand and keep it up. And online, if you can, looks like, yeah, please keep it up online.
While Jesse's counting, how do we mark this on the vote sheet?
We'll get to that. Thank you. Okay, and if you are voting against the motion, please raise your hand. If you are abstaining, please raise your hand. If you are present, not eligible, please raise your hand. Okay, the motion passes. So when we vote on the vote sheet, we're voting for the motion to postpone. Great. So you will still vote on this item, which is item, 13. If you're in favor of the motion, you are voting yes on item 13. Thank you, Frank. Thank you all for your questions. Okay, Joe, I think you're handling
So I'm sorry for my absence. I was also handling the entire group outside and managing. So first, I want to thank Katie Savage, Betty McIntosh for some comments that clarified a lot of this stuff, and we incorporated those. And Katie, especially, you caught not the 5th floor, the 15th floor for the outdoor space. Betty, as always, lists of lots of items and fixed up things that made it work better. And we are going to note that, put a section that notes we are approving on conditions and putting Betty noted to say, as noted in pages X to Y, because there are so many conditions, we can't use a regular bullet, it'll be too difficult. You have to understand the story here to know how we got to where we're going. The next thing is very important, and that is, I apologize to the tenants yesterday. I apologize to my board members today that I finished this very late or very early in the morning one day, and I did not copy and paste properly. And the specific issue that tenants' SRO protection rights would go to their temporary relocation apartments was meant to be copied down also to their permanent relocation apartments. And that is a key thing that the tenants requested, that if in fact they moved from a SRO room to a permanent unit, 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom, that all of the rights and protections they have under SRO law, which is called hotel stabilization, would travel. I just didn't copy it down. I met with them outside, they understand it. So that's now included. That's a big issue for them to be carried over, all right? And again, the board has gotten HPD and the owner to agree to this. So it's not like it's a maybe, they've all agreed. The next part is much more difficult, and that is the board made the request that any existing tenant should not have their income verified, but instead just be grandfathered in as being there. And the reason we made this request, 2 other Cure buildings, 500 West 42nd Street and 501 and 501 West 51st and 501 West 52nd Street, were both done as Cure or inclusionary, and the existing tenants were grandfathered in with no income verification. We made this request. We got the response back. No, the HPD went to Corp Counsel, got an opinion. There's this, there's that. All the people who were there then, like 7 or 8 years ago, are no longer there today. So we then went, okay, if you can't do that, in the meetings the board had with HPD is, and the council member Brewer, how can we get this done in the same way? And the response from HPD was, instead of doing full income verification, we will slim it down dramatically, have affidavits signed, and the tenants did not want to have information go to the owner, nor the owner's administering agent. So we got an agreement from HPD. Their tenant advocate, God of Riverside Community Center, would handle that. And it took, so it's a separation. The tenants still don't believe they want to do that. So therefore, we had to add in something in the letter that says, here's what we support, but here's what HPD responded to. And we're going to count upon our council member to continue to negotiate this back and forth. I cannot represent you today. We're going to know exactly how it comes out, but we're really pushing on this, right? And then a few other notes. There's an issue about residential storage that we've missed. That tenants had storage clauses that were removed. We're going to put that in here. The Appendix A with all the repairs. The language is very messy. We got that from the tenants. We're going to clean that up so it's more consistent and clean. And we are also verifying the number of hotel rooms. This is a very curious part of this letter, that there are existing hotel rooms that only have lot line windows. That's on a tax lot line, which means that at some point, an adjacent owner could build the adjacent building higher and close those windows up. We don't, and the thing that came to us very crazy, how did you do with security here? It's 50 or 60 hotel rooms. We really have questions about this. The council member has said she is willing to go with the board to the Department of Buildings to see if we can get this ruling overruled, so we can get those turned into Class A apartments. And then on the finishes, meaning when the apartment finishes, there were items that are very specific, like there's a refrigerator that's 4.5 cubic feet. That's very tiny. There's people living here with families. So we're going to look at this a little more carefully with the owner back and forth to make sure, what is this? Some of the things called out for bar sinks. You can't have a bar sink with a family. So again, we're going through this, but I will tell you, as you know, you've gone through this letter, there are a lot of complex issues. We didn't get to every single item here. And Jesse and I are expecting that between this week, early next week, we'll get all this information tightly together and tune up those sections or paragraphs. But again, we are asking for the grandfathering as the tenants had wanted, but HPD said, no, we're going to negotiate further. And then the whole issue about the taking your SRO tenant rights, which are slightly different in every case, and transferring them over to the any apartments if they choose to do that. I also want to note, we set this up, that it's for tenants who agree. You can stay in your own unit, have it renovated. You can move temporarily and come back to your unit that's renovated. Or you can choose to move from your unit temporarily and come back to a permanent unit. So it's all about for those who agree. No one is compelled to do anything in here. This has been one of the weirdest and most difficult cure applications we've ever had, is that it has so many different pieces and options to it that we try to address everyone's issues.
Thank you, Joe. There's really just want to underscore, there's been a tremendous amount of work on this, and it's very not only complex situation, but a incredibly difficult situation, as you heard from the tenants who are there. So we'll start, if you can get mics, I'm just going to call it up. We'll start this way. We'll go Katie and then Jesse, and then come back around, start with Inga. So have a mic ready.
Yeah, so I'm a huge supporter of this. I just have a quick clarification question. One of the people who spoke during the public session today said that she and her daughter and her other kids have moved out of the building for a year and a half or so, right? Because of how bad things were. And on page 13 in section 6, where it talks about tenant rate abatements and credits.
Yes.
It says that the offer is extended to all Hudson Hotel tenants who have temporarily or permanently relocated within the building.
So what this speaks to is the owner offered the tenants before the housing committee meeting, the idea that he would, if they move to a cure apartment,
right,
give them a rent credit going back to the construction start and then up to the certificate of occupancy. The board responded saying, no, whether you move or not, doesn't matter. You should get a rent credit irrespective. In the case of Tess, she has informally moved out of the building to live someplace for a little safer and sounder, but that's not a relocation. We're talking about when there's a legal relocation. That was the issue.
So you're saying that if people felt like they just couldn't stay there, they had to get out.
They haven't given up their tenancy, their legal tenancy.
Say it again.
They haven't given up.
No, they haven't given it up. But you're saying like there's we're not asking the owner to do anything for them.
No, yes. The rent credit, backwards and forwards, we're asking to apply to every tenant irrespective of what they do.
Whether or not they remained in the building or not.
That's correct.
That's what I wanted, because I didn't see that language in here, but maybe I just missed it. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank
We
you.
want it to apply to everybody irrespective.
Yeah. Chelsea?
First, that's great news about the SRO protections. I'm really glad to hear that. I recognize this question is pretty unfair and will be difficult, but while you were speaking, I did see one of the gentlemen, one of the residents, shaking his head in disagreement with something you were saying, seemingly around the ability for tenants to choose what they want, whether to stay when it's renovated or temporarily move out. Since he's not going to be able to speak for himself right now because we're in this session, can you speak to what his concerns might be? And I know that you guys were out there. I'm just curious what the disagreement was on this particular point.
All I can say is, in this letter, we set it up to say, for those tenants who agree, and there's three options. One is, if you want to stay in your current unit and it be renovated, you can stay. If you want to move to for those who agree to move to a cure unit, for those who agree to move temporarily to a partially renovated floor so you can be out of the construction zone and come back, that's your choice. And then for those who want to make a permanent relocation, a temporary and a permanent relocation, for those who agree, that's their choice. So a lot of this is, let's face it, everyone here in this building has lived in a horrific situation with a horrible owner who caused this problem. And he created this harassment, right? So this is not, we're not voting in favor of this owner. We're voting to protect these tenants in a way that this owner gets a heavy duty penalty. Make it clear, 28% of the square footage of this building is permanently affordable, rent stabilized apartments, affordable to people making less than 80% of AMI. So that's a pretty heavy penalty. And the city monitors it, and there's an administering agent, third party in place that has to report to the city annually about these units. So if in fact it ends up that not a single one of the 32 folks want to move, this owner will have 144 permanently affordable units. There will be 32 SRO units. They will be renovated to the degree that tenants give access and want to work back and forth. And then the rest will be market rate. One of the things that tenants raised just like 5 minutes ago, which I thought was very helpful, where's the enforceability on something? If we temporarily relocate, this is the kind of items that we want to put at the city. We want the city to put into the regulatory agreement that governs the cure to say, and for those who move temporarily, there'll be an inspection by HPD. They will review. In other words, we need to get more provisions in here that give teeth to the city to enforce it, because we know this owner may just sign something and then not follow through. That's our big fear here. So, but it's never been done to this degree before, giving multiple options. That's what we're trying to figure out.
Christine?
Yes. Two questions. One of them is, if the people in the SRO, the 32, decide to relocate, those 32 apartments.
Temporarily or permanently?
Permanently.
Okay.
Permanently, those 32 apartments are going to remain affordable, or they are becoming market?
No, they would become market.
So we really don't have 144 plus 32.
No. The 32 apartments are not permanently affordable today. SRO units, the tenants are protected, but SRO units have no legal protection to stay as SRO units in the city. That doesn't exist. People think it does. There was an SRO moratorium that was deemed unconstitutional back in the 80s.
So why don't we include that as a penalty? I mean, because they have essentially harassed those people so that they move out the 32, and as a result, they are going to get the 32 apartments as market. That's really very upsetting.
I will guarantee you that many people will not move out of those 32 apartments. I don't think everyone is going to be temporarily or permanently relocating. From the sense, I spoke to tenants tonight.
Well, I think it would be important that we have a strategy around that.
We can't advocate for a higher zoning penalty percentage on square footage than exists, but we can make sure that we protect both the rights and the safety and the soundness of the people living there.
But the penalty of 28% of the space is not really 28% if 32 apartments are going to move market.
No, it's 28% of the total square footage of the entire building that's residential. That includes the owner's penthouse. It includes laundry rooms, anything that exists today.
Anyway.
So it really is a
Okay.
very large percentage of any use.
And I want to say that the work in there is just amazing. I mean, really, it's incredibly complicated. Second, I'm glad you're looking at enforceability. I mean, obviously, this owner cannot be trusted for 1 second.
That's one of our main concerns, and we raised to the city, to HPD, we need enforceability mechanisms in here.
What about the
This-
maintenance, the repairs? You know, there is a list of repairs.
Yes.
How are we going to force that
So,
to
so
the
we,
repairs?
our request to HPD is to include the appendix of repairs as an attachment to the regulatory agreement.
Okay, all right. And then finally, I'm going to say my usual thing is like,
Put up front, yeah.
if we could put up front like a summary of the agreement, because it's incredibly complicated to follow.
I
And-
normally yield to you on this because
Right.
it's the right thing. I talked it over with my co-chair. I talked it over with
Right.
Raul. It's so complex.
Well, but replicate
Betty's idea is to say some bullets, but referring to later on the letter, because the problem is it's not going to tell the story here. We have to lay this out for the regulatory body involved in this to understand it. You know,
Okay,
but I agree
I
with
would kind of try to summarize and then refer to the other section. I mean, the section are where they should be, but at the top, it's not clear what we approve or not approve.
How about
Like this
I give it a go and we look at it?
Yeah.
Because we have another week. The problem is it's real. There's just so many things that we're asking for. You can't just bullet it
Be a cure, right? Is that
with conditions.
with condition. So just saying that at the beginning would.
If
kind
that's
of-
missing, Christine,
No, that's what I'm saying.
oh,
Put it at the beginning as
I will ask Rachel, committee member, to give me a,
this is what we are.
because it's helpful on
this
this.
is what we're doing,
Yeah.
because it was not clear.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. We had Inga and I think Brad.
Yeah, so I got from the people that were up here speaking that they did not want us to approve the letter as they saw it. Now you're saying they've changed their mind.
No, what I'm saying is that two things happened. Number one, in the tenant meetings we had with the tenants and then followed up with HPD, we specifically got the HPD and the owner to agree to transfer the SRO rights and protections to the cure units if tenants move there. I
Okay.
did not reflect that in the
Okay,
letter.
Because the people that spoke up there specifically
That's
said
correct.
no to the letter. They want us to vote no as they saw it.
Right.
And now you're saying in the back there, they are now saying yes. to
I'm
the
not
letter.
saying they all said, yes, they want to do anything, but they understand what our approach is. They did not
So-
say they want to do this.
Do they want us to say yes or still no to this letter?
Inga, that's not how we do this.
Just shake your head.
Inga, that is not appropriate. This is in the business portion of the meeting.
It is the business portion. This should be an exception because they spoke on
Inga,
a different
We
letter.
can take that
That's
up
all I'm
separately,
saying.
but engaging with the public is not relevant.
They
for this
spoke on a
purpose.
different letter. So now we've changed the letter and the people that spoke on it are not able to
I
speak.
just want to correct,
That's
it's
all I
an
want to
amended
say.
letter. It's the same letter. It's an amended letter that has been and will continue to be. If you have suggestions for amendments you
much.
want to see included, please raise them now. And you're free to ask. Brad's next.
Joe, great job and team. The amenities, everybody has full access?
Yes.
Okay,
The
there's,
the only physical clarity we don't have.
Even the
though,
golf simulator?
The only thing we don't know exactly is how the gym will work. They said it's a third party. We need to understand that and know that.
okay, thank you. Leslie had a question and then I think Raul also. So just.
I'm just gonna follow up on English, but I'll ask you. I was gonna ask the same thing when I was up there. I know they had some concerns, some of the tenants here. I know you went in the back and you obviously talked with them offline. Can you just explain to us what the disagreements are and what they think is insufficient? or what-
So here's an
But-
here's an example. One tenant was very concerned saying, no, I don't want to sign a lease. I've never signed a lease as an SRO tenant. And I responded saying, these will be rent stabilized leases, but they can be modified with a rider legally. By the way, we're not doing this. The Catered Riverside, who does SRO law, will do this. To say that it's a rent stabilized lease, but there's a rider that says all the SRO tenant protections are part of it. And it carries over. And the tenant responded, it's a lot of information. Can we talk about this further? How can we? I don't expect anybody in this whole process to say, this is fantastic. This is something I understand. And there is another meeting coming up on Wednesday with the council member and HPD. And then I've asked Jesse to set up a tenant meeting as a follow-up again. because this is a truly complex thing that why would anyone believe me or the community board?
No, I understand. And that was the only disagreement?
No, that's a major one. The next one is if somebody moves, the enforceability about this. In other words, they move temporarily. How do we trust this owner? Right? Period. And then there's just listen, the other thing that the tenants are really clearly on, this is the truth. This has been a disaster for them. But our community board is not just dealing with the owner. We're dealing with a public approval process, regulatory process, constraints, and having to figure out how to manage and balance all these things back and forth. I do not believe anybody is going to be super satisfied.
Maybe the disaster part should be in the summary at the above.
Well, I think hearing what the tenant said, I think it's pretty much.
Thank you, Raul. And just clarify, given if you're speaking as a board member or, yeah.
Yes, obviously I live in the building, so I cannot vote or I have to vote P&E. But I want to follow up on one of the key questions that one of the tenants had about the lease. And that you never got a chance to answer because you got called in here.
That's right.
And that is, if a lease is signed, what is the wording of that lease? And is there protection? Is there a renewal of that lease? Can the owner
Hold on, it's not working, Raul. We got to record it.
Hello? Okay, I
Yeah.
think it's back up. Sorry about that. The question was, since they would have to sign a lease.
Come here, it's better.
Sorry, I don't know what happened to this. You didn't get a chance to answer the question, and it was about the lease. We would now have to sign a lease. And the question is, what's the wording on that lease? Is it going to be for a 1-year term, 2-year term? Are we subject to the rent guidelines board increases to that lease? And is there a possibility that if the owner sells the building, that the new owner would choose not to renew that lease so that we would have to leave?
The 144 cure units will all be rent stabilized. Those leases are all renewable by law and must be renewed. The regulatory agreement that governs the rent stabilization is recorded against the title of the building. Any subsequent owner is subject to all the requirements, including the rent stabilized renewal leases. The second thing is, in the cure units, the city of New York has already set the rents at affordable to 80% of AMI. However, a rider that includes the SRO tenant protections would modify that lease. So, for example, if a 1-bedroom under 80% of AMI is $2,000 a month, it will say the registered rent is $2,000, but the preferential rent, meaning the rent the tenant pays, is $550 or something, whatever it is. And it's noted like that in the lease, and it's registered to DHCR like that. And that entire process will be highly monitored by HPD because they do this all the time. And they are approving every step of the way. The goal we have as a community board is to put enforceability language in the regulatory agreement that enables the city, if the owner does not do this, to hold that owner to task. So if they agree to this and they sign everything and they mischarge somebody or not, that gets the owner or subsequent owners, we have an enforceability mechanism for it. Raul said, can they raise the rent, right? Always lease renewals, there are increases in rent, but as you know, SRO tenant protections have no increases in rent for many years, right? So if this is achieved, that would mean that the preferential rent would be, right now, the SRO increase is 0%. In the future, if the rent stabilization board changes that to 1%, it'd be 1%, whatever it may be, as it would happen today, as you are in your current status.
Okay, there was a question online, I think. Betty and Marty have questions, so we'll turn to you.
I have two questions of probably clarification. Joe, good morning. What an amazing thing that I'm having. I had as much trouble as everybody else did reading through this amazing document. One, the document feels like it's not complete, given all you have said. How do we? It's time sensitive in some way or another. Do we need to see a revision of the document at some point? That's my first question. Second one is.
So it is not uncommon in these complex documents that we note what is complete and what needs to be filled in by getting more information. So that will happen, and then it will be sent out to the board again to look at, no problem.
So the board will see the, or we will hear about what.
But you are voting tonight. You're
We are voting tonight.
On this letter.
Subject to 17 clarifications
Yes,
added.
these amendments so far have all been, I think, friendly.
Yes.
Next question, Marty.
Well, how come there are no 3-bedroom apartments in the mix?
The cure provisions do not require 3-bedroom apartments. They require a minimum of 50% 2-bedroom apartments.
Isn't that something that the board has been concerned with, the lack of 3-bedroom apartments? Shouldn't that have been inserted into the conversation?
My answer is in abstract, yes, but in the complexity of this and the number of moving pieces, it is not something that honestly, I believe the board can. We're trying to lift a lot at this time. I don't think we can lift this too, Marty.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, we're going to move on to Betty.
Yeah, hi. Letter is an amazing piece of work. And I'm glad that you're going to try to figure out something for the beginning part of the letter. At the end part of the letter, there's a statement that there's X number of affordable units for the Hell's Kitchen community. And I wanted to know whether that is literal or would HPD use their usual website for the lottery? How's that going to work?
As a figurative thing, if we have not noted, the units will be marketed through Housing Connect, the 50% community preference.
Okay.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Joe.
I think I better clarify that in the letter.
Thank you.
Great, we'll take that. Okay, thank you all. We're going to move on now to transportation.
All right. Hello, everybody. We don't have anything too controversial this evening, although Christine did want me to ask Jesse if we can get our faces on the New York City kiosks for when they announce the Transportation Committee meetings. Great, thank you. Glad to hear. Yeah, great. No, really nothing too controversial. A couple friendly amendments on our letter regarding Pier 94, just some additional mitigation strategies about potentially moving the sidewalk further west over the barrier, and copying in the trust to who receives the letter. But other than that, you know, I think these are all relatively straightforward and standard. But question? Oh, all right.
Yeah. So we'll start over here. I think you have a mic on your. Oh, we lost the mic.
Mic here. Mic here.
I think that mic's not working.
Oh, this one's not working. Sorry.
Okay, hi, on letter 19 on the street naming guidelines updates.
I forgot about that.
So do we just question to the committee, like if we want to quantify the number of ears and the signatures needed and the geographical limit, I'm thinking if there's a world-renowned figure that the community members feel strongly about or something, if that can be a little bit of a discretion left for the committee. So as a middle ground, was wondering if we can make it so that it doesn't say all of the criteria has to be met, maybe most of them, and also because compelling evidence is not specific, just to give the committee a little bit of flexibility or ease in the future.
Great question, and I actually completely forgot about the guidelines update. That we did spend a lot of time on this. I should have updated everyone. We had a working group to revise the guidelines. The purpose of the guidelines revision was simply that the Transportation Committee, we were receiving numerous street co-naming requests, most of which we were denying. because we did not feel that the applicant rose to the standard that we want to see for someone who would, an organization or a person who would have their name permanently on a street to be honored. And so, the task at hand was to sort of raise the threshold for those who receive such an honor from our community. And so the consensus from the community was pretty strongly in favor of making sure that the person had very strong ties to the community. So I don't know if we would be in favor of that in terms of just honoring anyone. I think getting a I think the way we think about it is there are so many ways to honor people who have significance around the world and are hugely important in some way or another with plaques or memorials, but there's something in particular about a street co-naming that says this is someone who lived here, this is someone who worked here, this is someone who was here and important to this community, and so that's why we're trying to really keep it limited to that type of individual. On your point, though, I did forget one other correction on the guidelines themselves. They're sort of nonsensical as they're written right now. Just one update: an applicant does not have to meet all of the ABC because it says person, organization. That language is wrong. It should meet one of these requirements. I apologize for that. That is a drafting error.
Hey, I just want to give a quick shout out to Jesse and the Transportation Committee for a good press conference and rally on Monday for the elevators needed for the train station. You did a very good job with the electeds and with the community. So nice work.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. It's a good.
Jesse did all of it.
But I do have a question.
Oh, well, that's too bad. Okay.
And I'll bullet point these. And thank you for writing the letter. I know, and I can understand perhaps the intent of doing this, but one, are there currently existing guidelines? And if so, what are the changes from the currently existing guidelines, or is this brand new? Two, respectfully, this feels a little bit restrictive. Three, personally, I'm a believer in honoring somebody when they're alive, not when they're deceased. Four, some of those thresholds to get to are pretty high. And last but not least, where this may not be the intent, so please don't take this the wrong way, where we say this is not for any kind of accidents or bad acts that could, something like, heaven forbid, something happens again, like happened in 2001, you may want to reconsider that in terms of like a street naming. So I know that wasn't the intent, but that would prevent potentially a situation like that, what occurred in September of 2001. So okay. Those are the 5 bullet points.
5 bullet points. I'll try to take them in order. Thank you. So first, yes, there is, we uploaded yesterday onto the Dropbox a red line between the current version of the guidelines and the updated version of the guidelines. Apologies that it got to you late, but that does exist. So I ask you to refer to that and you can see the changes right there. Secondly, the committee does feel very strongly that the honoree should be deceased. And the reason for that is I think we've discovered as we've been alive that someone's legacy can really change while they're still alive, and things that you may think about someone may really shift. And so we, in particular, want to give some time between. Not only do we want them, deceased and to have a legacy, to have intact, but even give a little bit of time between when they're alive and or when they've passed and when we were honoring them with a co-naming. The third was it's very restrictive. It seems too restrictive. I will say, I think we have in the guidelines 10 square blocks. I think we're going to change that to a certain number of feet. Yeah, 10 blocks generally. So it'll be a little bit less restrictive. But we did, again, I understand the concern, but I do want to stress that we really were receiving quite a number of these. And we really want to send a message to the community that if you're going to come to us with an application, it really needs to be someone that has surpassed, even the most basic requirements of being a community member and has given back so much. And a perfect example of that is who we honored just last week, Richie Henderson, who was this board voted for renaming West 20. We voted, I think, for West 24th Street, but the sign went up on West 26th Street for a number of reasons. But he was a crossing guard at the Avenue School for a number of years, was a sort of a hero to the kids there, and everyone knew him, and died literally trying to save lives while he was shot on the subway. So, I think there is something to be said for raising the threshold. And I will also say the updated guidelines have in language that refers to an appendix that is not attached to the guidelines. And that appendix will give all applicants examples from recent past of the applications that we have approved and the applications that we have denied, so that everyone can see the sort of examples that we're talking about when we talk about those who are worthy of a street co-naming. On your fifth point, I think I should look into that because I wish I had the language at 9/11. Yeah, I think that's worth looking into. And I'm sure the language could be tweaked around that.
Is there a criteria to remove street name?
Oh.
I just don't see that in there. So maybe we should just, some criteria, as you just spoke about, should be in there.
To remove.
I also agree. I prefer to, I'm not going to vote for it because I think people should be able to live and enjoy that, but I understand why you did it. Thank you.
Sure. I think the removal could be another set of guidelines, but I think that'll make it a little bit too complicated to include in these. For now. JD?
I have a question on 18.
Yep.
And excuse me if I've gotten entirely wrong, but it seems to me, as I understand it, Vornado is doing some construction. So they have said, if you're a walker, you should cross 6 lanes of highway.
9, yeah.
9.
Isn't it? Where's Carly?
Walk down 4, cross back over. The problem is there's a conflict with the bicyclist.
Yep.
This letter is taking the side of the bicyclist, as far as I understand, and saying, well, let's open up a lane of the highway for bicycles or walkers. I'm not sure, because that's Mark Levine's fanciful idea or ridiculous idea. It seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that a pedestrian has the right of way to bicycles, even on a bike path.
Ooh.
Check that out. Go to NYC DOT, check that out. It seems to me the solution might be for the bicyclist to dismount for 2 blocks and walk so everybody can walk. But walkers who may be disabled or elderly should not have to cross, what is it, 9 lanes of highway.
So
those 2 points, I don't, unless you found it more of a solution.
So the problem, because I shouldn't say, the problem is not that walkers are being forced to cross 9 lanes of highway, although we say that that's what they're being asked to do. The problem is that they're not doing that, right? The problem is that the problem is that we have bikers and walkers.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to argue with you. That is my point. If there are conflicts with the bicyclists are at fault.
But I'm saying that bikers are no more likely to dismount their bikes and cross 9 lanes of highway than are the walkers. So the solution needs to be about expanding the space, and that is why Paul's amendment was certainly a friendly one, because we are certainly not trying to make a prescription for how to fix the problem. Okay. So we are going to change the language a little bit to say, hey, some ideas are expand into the highway a little bit, or to expand the sidewalk westward over the current barrier.
The second one, I agree with. The first one, expanding, is not going to happen anytime soon.
Great.
So the second idea is great, and signage about bicyclists giving way to pedestrians if they're walking would help as well. Thank you.
That's fine. Yeah, I would agree with that. That's fine. Yeah, of course.
Okay, we have Betty online, and then we'll move to cannabis.
Yeah, hi. Just a quick little tiny friendly amendment, item 21. And I think it's okay with Christine about the Flixbus operations. I think we should add that the buses should not be, they should turn their motors off when they're not traveling. Because in addition to all the debris
Yeah.
in the area, the buses have been polluting the air. Thank you.
Yes, Christine showed me your email a few minutes ago. I apologize, I forgot to mention it. Yes, I think that's very friendly. On top of all the other requests, we have demands really for FlixBus. We will certainly also add that they turn off the motors when they're sitting in that parking lot.
Great.
No problem. Thank you for adding that, Betty.
We do, sorry, we do have one other question in the.
Oh, I'm just going to follow up on JD's on 18. And you know, with being in parks, I agree with everything with Vornado and how they're doing the mitigation of the bike lanes and stuff.
Yep.
But the paragraph about recommending a lane of the West Side Highway now being removed for cars for this, it just seems like it's snuck into a letter that has to do with just the mitigation of, you know, of kind of rerouting. That is a huge topic that I think this board or the committee should undertake in a comprehensive way. Do you know what I mean?
No, so that's I was hoping that we could address that by really softening the language and saying, hey, not a recommendation, just to say some ideas are that we have heard and we're thinking about. But I will pass it to my co-chair, Christine.
I just want to say that that recommendation has already been done and voted by the board, and it has been voted by CB1 and CB7. So it's not trying to sneak in something. It's something which was already voted. So just
like a kind of referring to a past letter.
Yes.
Maybe if you want to footnote that letter or something.
We should do that.
Might be better.
We'll do that because the idea was to say, put some cones and see how it works, you know, but it is already voted.
Thank you. And I just want to remind everyone that there is going to be a study of 9A that's going to be taking place.
Ooh.
And there will be further opportunity for us to really hash this out and try to generate some suggestions and potential solutions for this. Katie, if Christine, can you pass the mic and I ask that people limit their questions now.
Hi.
Two questions.
My question is, I don't know, it's not in the letter, but do they currently have, you know, this is a $350 million project. We're talking about 2 blocks. Does Vornado have any type of crossing guard or guides or people who can be stationed there, like from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.?
So that's in our letter with that request, but we'll add those specifics of 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. because I agree. No, really, I mean, we could have, we could tighten up that language because it's certainly a request that we have because it's a significant problem area and it should be their responsibility to maintain it, monitor it, and keep people safe. So absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Are we? Oh, Brad, you need a
Brad.
mic.
Remove the signs.
Shouldn't we also add in the letter that Vornado needs to expedite the work on that lane and not be waiting the years to finish? So that should be the first thing.
That
They
makes
need
sense.
to move it fast,
Yes.
temporarily move it, temporarily pave, temporarily I mean, I do it all the time. So that should be the first thing.
Sure.
Good point.
Fine with that. Very friendly. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
friendly.
So
This is
friendly.
the friendliest crowd.
Thank you, Jesse.
I love you
Jesse.
all. Bye, guys.
Follow up, Rodney. Thank you, Rodney, for stepping in this evening on cannabis.
Hi, good evening. So I'm a member of the Cannabis Task Force, and I've been asked to present our letter, item 22, regarding cannabis space at 383 8th Avenue, which is located at 29th Street and 8th Avenue. The applicant currently holds a license from OCM, which means they're in the final stages of actually opening. While in talking with the applicant, they had an outreach, they conducted outreach and engagement. However, we felt it could have been stronger, broader, more aggressive. We asked, they were amenable. They reached out to more community members, more stakeholders, and followed up. In fact, Jesse also followed up with community leaders, stakeholders, and we had no sort of negative feedback to this, but this is where we're at. They're expected to open in the next month or two.
Thank
Any
you. Are there
questions?
questions?
The guideline referred to an Exhibit A was not found. Oh, yes.
Sorry to make you run. My apologies. Usually what we do is we attach the application, what the Exhibit A is, their their application to us. And so I just literally just texted Rodney saying, I just realized I did not attach that application. I'm happy to do so, send it around. It's our standard application that we have every applicant fill out. It's the ones that you guys have seen before. There was, to my knowledge, I don't remember seeing anything or anything coming up at the committee level from that application that raised any major concerns, but it's just something that they put down in writing. We wanted them to adhere to.
Standard hours, 10:30 to 11:30
Yeah,
at night,
yeah, yeah.
7 days a week, basically.
Great. All right. We have no final questions. Thank you, Rodney. With that, we're going to get ready for our roll call vote. Just as a reminder, 13, it is a revised letter, but you're just voting on if you agree to request that the applicant postpone or ask that they postpone and come back to BLP. It's not, we're voting on it. We are voting on this letter. We are voting on this letter with a revised amendment. So Katie, I'll turn it to you.
Yep. Okay. Yep. So as a quick reminder, I'm going to say your name. You're going to tell me how you vote. I'm going to repeat what you said. So that's how we're going to do this. All right, Ted. Thank you. Yes to all. Roberta. Yes to all. Christine. Yes to all. Gwen. Yes to all. Leslie. Abstain from 22. Yes to the rest. Viren. Yes to all. Liam. Yes to all. Kevin. Yes to all. Lisa David. Not here. Marty.
No to 16, yes to the rest.
No to 16. Yes to the rest. Paul. Yes to all. Pete Diaz. Yes to all. Wendy. Yes to all. Max. Yes to all. Matt Green. Not here. Jesse. Yes to all. Candace. Yes to all. David Haluka. Not here. Frank. Yes to all. Josephine. Yes to all. Inga. Yes to all. Carrie was not here. Oh no, she's there.
Yes to all.
Hi. Yes to all, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Yes to all. Ella. Yes to all. Raul. Peony on 14. Yes to the rest. Bert. Not here. Chris LeBron. Not here. Rachel. Rachel, I saw you. Yoo-hoo. Yes to all. Okay. James.
Yes to
James
all.
here?
I'm
Oh,
here.
James is online. Okay, thank you. Yes to all. Betty.
Yes to all.
Yes to all. Sanford. Not here. Shanice. Yes to all. Gregory. Yes to all. Tina. Yes to all. Mike Noble.
Yes to all.
Yes to all. JD. Yes to all. Maria. She was here. Anybody see Maria anywhere? Okay, I'll come back. Alan. Is Alan here? Alan's not here. Brad. Oops, sorry, I just wrote that under Alan. So let me just fix that. Okay, so Brad, you said that you abstain on 18, you vote no on 19, and yes to the rest. Joe? Yes to all except P&E on 13. Thank you. Dolores, I think was not here. Katie Savage. Yeah, did you think I was talking to myself? Yes to all. I am now talking to myself, Katie Stokes, and yes to all. So Hector, yes to all. David Warren, not here. Rodney, Oh, Rodney, very fancy. Yes to all. Andy already submitted his vote sheet. Alice? All right, you abstain on 13, no to 22, yes to the rest. And Thomas? Yes to all. Look at that. And now our last person. Oh, no, actually, did Maria come in? Oh, okay, hold on. Let me go back and find you here. Thank you. Maria is yes to all. And now our last person is Jessica. Yes to all. Yes to all. All right, I think that's everybody. Thank you.